Europe was a land of turmoil in the year 1315, with shifting alliances and power struggles shaping the destiny of nations. In the heart of the continent, the Swiss Confederacy, a loose alliance of small, independent states, faced a dire threat. The Habsburgs, powerful rulers with ambitions to expand their dominion, set their sights on the Swiss territories. They were especially interested in a shorter route to Italy through Switzerland. The Swiss had previously asserted their independence, but the Habsburgs were determined to bring them to heel. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the resolve and unity of the Swiss people. The Battle of Morgarten is about to unfold. Please like and subscribe now to help this channel grow, and let me know in the comments below what story from history you want to see next. Thanks. Let's get back to the battle. This historic clash saw a small and determined force of Swiss soldiers face off against the might of the Habsburg army. The Swiss were fighting to protect their homes and their freedom, and prepared to make their stand in the narrow pass of Morgarten, where the terrain itself became a weapon in their hands. From the south, a long serpentine column wound its way up the mountain pass. At its head was a figure of power and authority, Duke Leopold of Austria. He was a fearsome sight, clad in polished armor, his steed a magnificent beast draped in the Habsburg colors. Behind him stretched ranks upon ranks of armored knights, their lances gleaming like a forest of steel. They were the pride of the Habsburg Empire, confident, arrogant, and utterly contemptuous of the peasant rabble that dared to challenge their might. Duke Leopold, with his face a mask of grim determination, urged his men onward. They were on a mission of conquest, sent to crush the rebellious Swiss cantons who have dared to challenge the Habsburg grip on their lands. Their destination, the village of Schwyz, the heart of the rebellion. The Duke had sworn a terrible oath to make the Swiss pay for their defiance. He was determined to drown their rebellion in blood. Unbeknownst to the advancing Austrians, they were walking into a carefully laid trap. In the narrow pass of Morgarten, between the sheer cliffs and the deep waters of Lac Egeri, a small band of Swiss patriots waited. These were no ordinary soldiers. They were farmers, herdsmen, hunters, men who knew every inch of the land. They were led by a handful of experienced warriors, veterans of skirmishes against local lords and bandits. Their leader, Werner Stauffacher, watched the approaching Austrian column with a hawk's eye. He knew that the fate of his people rested on the success of their desperate plan. As the unsuspecting Austrians marched deeper into the pass, a signal horn blasted from the heights. With a roar that shook the mountains, tons of rock and timber came crashing down from the slopes above. The carefully prepared avalanche smashed into the head of the Austrian column with terrifying force. Knights were crushed beneath boulders, their armor no match for the fury of the mountain. Horses reared in panic, throwing their riders into the chaos. The ambush had caught the Austrians completely by surprise. Their ranks, so orderly moments ago, dissolved into a mass of terrified men and animals. But this was no mere rockslide. It was the opening salvo of a meticulously planned attack. Even as the echoes of the avalanche reverberated around the mountains, a new threat emerged. From the wooded slopes on either side of the pass, hundreds of Swiss warriors charged down, their war cries echoing through the narrow defile. These were no peasant rabble armed with pitchforks and scythes. They gripped fearsome weapons, long pikes, heavy axes, and the dreaded halberd, a brutal weapon capable of cleaving through armor with ease. They knew the terrain, they knew their enemy, and they were fighting for their very survival. They swarmed over the beleaguered Austrians, hacking and slashing, their heavy weapons punching through mail and plate. The narrowness of the pass, which had given the Austrians such a sense of security, now became their undoing. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. panic spread through the Austrian ranks like wildfire. Their vaunted cavalry, so effective in open battle, was useless in the confined space. Their heavier weapons were too cumbersome for the close-quarters fighting. The Swiss were lighter, more agile, and were fueled by the fires of patriotism, making them unstoppable. Duke Leopold, surrounded by his bodyguard, fought with the courage of a lion, but even he could see that the day was lost. His proud army, the terror of the Holy Roman Empire, was being butchered before his eyes. Realizing the battle was lost, Leopold made a desperate decision. He ordered his bodyguard to cut their way through the enemy lines, hoping to reach the relative safety of the rearguard. But the Swiss were everywhere. Every attempt to break free was met with a wall of pikes and halberds. Finally, seeing no other option, Leopold made a run for it, his few remaining knights forming a desperate rearguard. He was pursued by the vengeful Swiss, their cries of rage echoing behind him as he fled the field of battle. The Swiss had won an astonishing victory, though vastly outnumbered. The Battle of Morgarten was more than just a military victory. It was a turning point in Swiss history. Against all odds, the Swiss defended their homeland against one of the most powerful armies in Europe. It marked the beginning of the Swiss Confederacy's rise to prominence, and it was now a force to be reckoned with. The victory sent shockwaves across Europe, shattering the myth of Habsburg invincibility. News of the Swiss triumph spread like wildfire, carried by travelers and traders, minstrels and merchants. The names of those who had fought and died at Morgarten, such as Werner Stauffacher, Rudolf von Reding, and countless others, became synonymous with courage and were not forgotten. The legacy of Morgarten resonates even today. It remains a pivotal moment in Swiss history. It serves as a potent reminder that even the most powerful empires can be brought low by the determination of even a small group of people. Once a collection of scattered cantons, the Swiss had found their unity in the crucible of war. They had tasted victory, and they were determined to hold on to it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Trotastoria to continue learning from the annals of history.